So let's talk about Bloodshot. PG-13, hour and 49 minutes, action drama, sci-fi, comic book adaptation. It hit theaters March 13th, 2020, which is like right at the start of COVID, right when everyone's like, we got to shut her down. So it obviously didn't fare well at the box office. It's about Ray Garrison, Vin Diesel. He plays Ray Garrison, a slain soldier who's reanimated with superpowers. It's directed by Dave Wilson. And I don't know what else he's done. Did I just not write that down? Cool, Neal. Maybe he didn't have any directing credits. Okay. And it's written by Jeff Wadlow. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he wrote Fantasy Island, which I recently reviewed a couple weeks ago. Also Truth or Dare, an episode of The Strain, Kick-Ass 2, which Quentin Tarantino was high on, and a couple episodes of Bates Motel. Was also co-written by Eric Heisserer. Heisserer, who wrote Bird Box, Extinction, Arrival, Lights Out, The Thing, Final Destination 5, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's like if you have a sequel of a franchise that's pretty much run its course, you bring in old Eric. That's not fair. I mean, Arrival was like awesome. I like Bird Box too. I mean, it had some moments here or there. Extinction, I don't know if I've seen Extinction. I think that was on Netflix with Michael Pena, if I'm thinking correctly. Sam, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Sam Heughan as Jimmy Dalton. You might remember him from Outlander, which is a series that should be in my queue. It's on my list. I forget what season it's in now, but definitely something I want to check out. He was also in The Spy Who Dumped Me, if you remember that movie. Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis. Eiza González as KT, not Katie. She was in Godzilla vs. Kong, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, and Alita Battle Angel, Welcome to Marwen, Baby Driver, Toby Kebbell. I mean, can you give me like harder names to freaking pronounce? As Martin Axe. Toby has been in Servant, which is that M. Night Shyamalan series, I think, on Apple TV that I really want to watch. He's also in Kong Skull Island, War, and he voiced Koba, and the Planet of the Apes, the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy. If you're a Black Mirror fan, you'll remember he was in the one where there's like that thing, and maybe you put it in your ear. There was like a little device, and maybe you put it in your eye or your ear, and you can actually, it records like literally everything that you see. And then you can log it and store it digitally, and then you can rewind it back. I like that episode, I think. That was a good episode. He's also in Wrath of the Titans and Fantastic Four. He was Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four, which, I mean, no one saw that. The most recent Fantastic Four with like Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan. Kind of reminds me of, what's his name? Jonathan Silverman, who was in that TV show. The fuck was it called? But he was also in Weekend at Bernie's. Guy Pearce, one of my favorite actors of all time, is Dr. Emil Harting. If you're not familiar with Guy Pearce, I don't know if we can be friends, but I'll let it slide. He was in Memento, one of my favorite movies of all time. He was in LA Confidential, Iron Man 3. He played a similar character in Iron Man 3 as he does in this movie. Hurt Locker, King's Speech, Prometheus. He's got a nice little list going. I gotta say, of the people I've run down so far, Vin Diesel's Vin Diesel. I was watching this movie and I was thinking to myself, wow, I don't think I've seen a Vin Diesel movie in quite some time. I mean, I'm not counting Guardians of the Galaxy where he voices Groot. In terms of Vin Diesel movie, I never watched any of the Fast and Furious movies, except like the first one in 2001, 2002, maybe. And I watched Pitch Black. So what was that, 99? So I think since 2000, Triple X. So I think Triple X was 2002 maybe also. So it's been fucking an adult aged person since I've seen Vin Diesel in a live action movie where he is also live action. He's not voicing something or someone. And all I could think about is Taron Killam's impression of Vin Diesel in that SNL digital short where The Rock remakes Bambi and The Rock is Bambi, and Vin Diesel, Taron Killam as Vin Diesel plays Thumper, and he just keeps talking the same way. He's like, I don't wanna, there's a friend of family. Like that was just running on loop in my head as I was watching this movie. How old is Vin Diesel now? He's got to be in his 50s, right? 40s, late 40s. He's been around for so long, and I mean, he's just so. I actually Googled how tall is Vin Because at one point he was walking and I was like, he looks like he's in some like mega lift boots. Like, you know, I think one of my buddies got this, but like shoes where you can buy like super hardcore lifts that add like 2 inches to your height. And it seemed like they had him doing that. And I was like, am I like seeing things or is he not tall? And then I Googled it. And unless someone's paying off Google, which I wouldn't put it past, you know, Hollywood publicity agents, but he's 6 foot, just like me. But yeah, he did a lot of that in this movie. And to be honest, I was hoping it would get a little more humor out of him. I feel like the first act, to midway through the second act, like the first half of the movie, before they introduced Mornay Morris as Wilfred Wigans. Okay, if none of those names sound familiar, he was Winston Bishop on The New Girl. And if you haven't seen The New Girl, if you don't like The New Girl, well then, you know, let's fight outdoors, preferably when the sun's out so I can see it coming. Yeah, most of the comic relief came through Wilfred Wigans. And I feel like there were so many opportunities for Vin Diesel to be let loose a little bit and have some fun with it. But I understand, like, it's a little tough when, like, you wake up and you don't know where you are, why you are, what you are. Talulah Riley as Gina Garrison. She was Angela in Westworld. So she was one of the hosts in Westworld. Didn't have a lot of lines. She didn't have a lot of lines in this one either. Alex Hernandez as Marcus Tibbs, who I liked Tibbs. Tibbs was a character that I thought deserved a little more screen time. I thought there was something more there than there was. Blind soldier who was equipped with all kinds of cameras that he can see through the cameras, and he can see behind him and around him and total like 360 vision. And there was a moment like towards the beginning of the movie where Guy Pearce is like introducing Vin Diesel to all the other soldiers that he's helped out with his technology, and he introduces him to Tibbs, and there was like a connection there. There was a moment where it's like something positive is going to happen between these two, and they do a little fist bump, and I thought that was going to come into play at some point later in the movie, unless I'm misremembering. It never really did, never really panned out, but I was hoping to see more out of Tibbs. Instead, we got more of the conflict was mostly driven between Sam Heughan's character Dalton and Vin Diesel. And you don't really understand, like, Dalton's like, okay, is Dalton jealous? Yes, I guess that's part of it. Is he envious? Maybe. He's the one who he doesn't have any legs, and he's been given prosthetic legs that allow him to run faster, jump higher, all that jazz. I would like to have seen them spend a little more time getting to know like Dalton and KT and Tibbs. I feel like we were introduced to them, and then we don't get much of their backstory. It's just a very quick like tweet, 140 characters of like their backstory. Would have been nice to know like how, you know, we're told how they lose their legs, or they were told just that, oh, he lost his legs obviously, and oh well, he's blind, and KT can't breathe without the help of this device that Guy Pearce's Dr. Harting character has developed. Just would have been nice. I mean, we get to see a little bit more of KT swimming. I guess that was cool, but it would have been a lot better if we got to know those characters a little bit more in, you know, their prior history, their backstory. I mean, they kind of touched on it with when KT had the conversation with Vin Diesel by that pool thing, but could have explored that a little bit more. Tough to fit in, I understand, but would have been nice. Siddharth Dhanaje as Eric. If you've ever seen Patty Cakes, which is a indie darling about a very heavyset white woman who becomes a rapper, he plays Jerry in that movie, Jheri, who starts off as her friend, and I think they actually become more than friends at some point, but he was really good in that movie. I liked him in that movie. I liked him in this movie. He was also sort of comic relief in this. So we talked about how like this came out right at the launch of COVID. Couldn't have picked a worse time to release in theaters, and it ended up grossing $10 million in the US and Canada and $23.4 million in other territories for a worldwide gross of $33.4 million on a budget of $45 million. I mean, not bad. Almost balanced out before it had to be removed and all the theaters closed down. Over its first 3 days of home release, Bloodshot was the most watched on Amazon Prime and fourth most on iTunes. That's not too shabby, right? Most watched on Amazon Prime and fourth most on iTunes. Despite the pandemic's effects on the film's box office, Bloodshot was ranked #1 on Digital Entertainment Group's Watched at Home Top 20 list for the week ending May 9th, which, again, is not too bad. The critics' consensus. Critics were not kind to this movie. Bloodshot gives Vin Diesel a solid opportunity to indulge in old school action that should satisfy fans, even if the end result is disappointingly mediocre. I wouldn't disagree with that. It definitely felt very familiar, very, very familiar, like path that it followed. I'm sure Vin Diesel fans loved it. I'm not a huge Vin Diesel fan, but I'm not like completely opposed to him, even though I haven't seen the movie in 18 years. Anyway, 30% of critics gave it a favorable review with a 4.52 out of 10 average rating, and 78% of the audience gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 4.05 out of 5. And I have to say, I'd probably go closer to the audience on this one. And yeah, maybe it felt a little tired. It felt like, we've been down this road before. We've seen these characters before. Nothing really new is coming our way. It's almost like the old guard in a way. It's like, there's a lot more to this story that can be told. There's a lot more to explore. And that's why, maybe they didn't go into detail or depth with a lot of the supporting cast, because it's like, we're going to get into their stories as we move on down the line, because this definitely, we'll get into it a little bit, but it just doesn't feel like a one and done. I feel like there's enough there that they could build on it, build the universe. So am I going to go high as a 4 out of 5? But I'm not going to go as low as like a 5 out of 10. So was that between 50 and 80%, 50 to 80 rating? I'd probably go closer to like a 65. So I'm not really cutting it in half, I don't think. Although maybe I am. Split the difference and push it towards the audience. What did some of the top critics have to say? Glad you asked. It's diesel-powered dumb fun. Which it's a pretty good. I mean, that should have been the tagline right there. Diesel-powered dumb fun. Another critic said the action sequences look like they were edited by a Cuisinart, harsh, burn, roast, boom. I did not pick up on that. The one sequence where it's like, is it flour or what the hell truck crashes? They're in the tunnel. It's Martin Axe, and he's got his convoys, cavalry or whatever of black SUVs with all these mercenaries or SWAT guys or whatever security detail. And Vin Diesel manages to like cut them off in the tunnel with a truck, crashes a massive truck that was carrying flour. Was it flour? I don't know, but maybe it's just white powder. And I don't know that a commercial truck is transporting cocaine, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know what year it is. And so it's dark in the tunnel, the lights go out, and there's like white powder flying everywhere. And he's just, Vin Diesel's just taking round after round of bullets because he realizes, I got the healing power, do the nanites, whatever those little things are, that can just heal him and repair him super quick, all up in his blood. But it's also controlled by Guy Pearce's character through a server. That action sequence was pretty fucking dope. I've seen worse. When there's like, when the director, the camera guy is just flinging the camera left and right, and it's just a blurry mess. That's awful. When you can't see anything, you can't see punch land or a kick or anything like that. It's just like, what is going on right now? Am I having a seizure? What is happening? Another critic said a bewildering piece of good, bad sci-fi action trash, which it's like the best backhanded compliment I've ever heard. Good, bad sci-fi action trash. And if you can't get down with that, what can you get down with? Do you like to party? No? Okay. Hasta luego. Another critic said Inception drawn in extra thick Sharpie and testosterone. I thought that was a good line. Interesting they went with Inception. I didn't pick up on Inception at all with that. Although I guess, Guy Pearce's doctor is trying to incept memories plant these memories in Vin Diesel, spoiler, so that he will continue to murder on his behalf in what seems like revenge, but really isn't revenge. Spoiler. I think my one cat is getting revenge on my other cat right now as we speak. Another critic said the movie is presented as the story of a man who hasn't figured out who he is yet. It's the story of my life. But that's not quite right. Instead, it's a movie that doesn't seem to know what it wants to be when it grows up. So cute, so clever. I don't agree with that, to be honest. I think it had a premise that was not just typical action bullshit. I think there were some layers to it. Maybe it didn't navigate those layers that well. Maybe you could have brushed up on some character development, maybe punch up the dialogue so that the humor's a little bit more there. To say it doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up. I mean, they have I'll get to it in a minute, but they have big plans for this character and for this franchise. It kind of tippy-toed on the fine line between being like Venom. So if you remember, Venom wasn't like your typical Marvel DC comic book superhero movie. It was a little bit campy and cheeky and, but it was like winking at the audience. And I feel like this almost had that kind of tone to it. And I wish it did push it in that direction as opposed to trying to be like Thor did this too. Like Thor Ragnarok, everyone loved because it had more humor and offbeat, off the cuff type situations and interactions. Whereas like Thor Dark World and the first Thor was a little, it felt a little bit stale or stiff. It started to loosen up in the second half of the movie, I'll say that. But it would have been nice if like it just had a little more fun with it, a little more dumb fun. It got better once the Wigans entered the picture. It's almost like he played the part of the audience in a lot of ways and what the audience was thinking. And there needed to be more of that throughout. And maybe that was supposed to be Eric, the techie that works with Guy Pearce's character. But the last of the critics that I'll mention said this: Vin Diesel looks more than ever like Mr. Clean fused with Adam Sandler. Oh boy. I mean, Mr. Clean, not a bad looking dude. I'm sure many a lady has flicked their bean to Mr. Clean, and you can print that. Adam Sandler also, I mean, I need to get, from my perspective, you could do worse if you're a lady. Now, if he had the humor of Adam Sandler, that'd be nice. It's a little more self-awareness. I mean, understandably, he's dealing with trauma. So it's like you don't want to get too loose with it. He thinks that he's lost his wife and he's trying to get revenge. So I get it. Like, you're not going to be like all laughs and lollipops. Dive into some fun facts and trivia. Why don't we? One time. Bloodshot is one of the most popular characters in the 80 million comic selling Valiant universe. Bloodshot has sold over 7 million comics in all languages. I honestly didn't know about this character until I saw the trailer for this movie. And I love the trailer. Bloodshot issue number 1 was a much anticipated comic that became the best-selling issue and has gone to sell approximately 1 million copies. It was also awarded Best Comic and Best Innovation for its chromium cover, the first of its kind. There was this is also, I love little connections like this. I mentioned Guy Pearce was in Memento, one of my favorite movies. That was also about a man with memory loss tracking down his wife's killer. Both movies featured someone manipulating the truth about his wife's killer to try and control the protagonist. I thought that, and to have Guy Pearce in this movie, when did I get tipped off about this? Like, Guy Pearce is in the movie. He was in Memento, one of my favorite movies. But did I pick up on that? When did I pick up on it? It was definitely before it was revealed, I think. I'm getting good at this, by the way, other than a Walk to Remember. Although even Walk to Remember, I was right near, which this is not fun. I don't think that's fun guessing what's going to happen. That's not fun, but it's happening more and more often. Maybe I should just start writing some movies and crank out some screenplays and get some money. But yeah, I think I called it. When did I call it? They kind of reveal a little bit in the trailer. They actually revealed, I think I revealed a lot in the trailer. So maybe I already knew going in, but I still liked it. Okay. In April 2015, Sony Pictures' original film in Valiant announced a 5-picture deal to bring Valiant comic superheroes to the big screen, including Bloodshot. So Bloodshot was conceived to be followed by a sequel. So we'll get Bloodshot 2 and then 2 films based on the comic book series Harbinger and a culmination in a crossover titled Harbinger Wars. So we're looking at, they got some plans, and I don't know how this affects everything. There was supposed to be a whole dark universe with the Mummy and Tom Cruise, and then that flopped and they were like, ooh, maybe not. But then they kind of reinvigorated the universe with Invisible Man. So maybe they rejigger their plans for this Bloodshot universe. But just like the old guard, I think they've laid down a nice little foundation. It's almost like when you're watching TV. Season 1 is always like piques your interest. You're like, all right, I could get on board this show. It got better. You know, season 1, it's like, all right, not the greatest, but like, let's see where they go from here. And then usually season 2 of a TV series is typically always the best season, 2 or 3. And that's how I feel about Bloodshot and the Old Guard. I feel like the first movie is like, and it sets everything up nicely, but you know, there's still a lot more to be told and explored. There's supposed to be a post-credit scene where Ken Watanabe, definitely butchered that, plays Toyo Harada, a powerful psychic. And this will lead into Harbinger, who I think Harbinger is someone that can control technology, and maybe he's a villain? I'm not sure. Or is Harting Harbinger? I'm sure all the comic book fans that are listening or watching, of which there are 0, are like, you fucking idiot. Of course it's Harting as Harbinger. I don't know. I got some T2 vibes from this. There's like the ET, instead of the glowing finger, it's like the glowing heart inside Vin Diesel's chest. There was that going on. But like there was definitely some T2 vibes going on in this, when like Vin Diesel gets blown to smithereens and you just see like the nanites kind of like disperse from the shot, and then just all kind of come back and heal him real quick one time. But yeah, dude, those nanites, so clutch. All right, so that's Bloodshot. I liked it. I hope for a little bit more out of it, but like you have to have, like, when you see that that 30%, this is like in line with Gemini Man. Gemini Man had shitty ratings from critics. The audience loved it because sometimes the audience just wants like an action movie that has a little cool premise or concept, something that's just a little different. It doesn't have to be like breaking any barriers or groundbreaking or revolutionary. It just has to have like a little unique concept with a nice little twist. Blood out. But these critics, man, all they do is hate.